All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on the unspoken rules of power. Now, this isn't the stuff they teach you in school, right? These are the hidden forces, the invisible scripts that are shaping every single interaction, every negotiation, and every relationship you have. And this quote, it just nails it. Now, when we say dangerous, it doesn't mean, physically threatening. It means you understand how the game is actually played. It's not always about being fair or just working harder than everyone else. It's about strategy. And trust me, those who master it have a massive, massive advantage. And this is a huge mindset shift. We tend to think of genius as some magical gift you're born with, but a lot of the time, it's a skill, a meticulously crafted one. It's about understanding psychological principles so well that you see layers of reality most people miss, and then knowing how to bend that reality to your will. Because make no mistake, that's exactly what this is, a game. It's being played all around you, every single day. And once you see the rules, once you understand the moves, you stop being just a piece on the board, and you start seeing the entire game. So let's get into it. Okay, so we're going to start on the outside layer, tactics of everyday influence. These are simple, really tangible shifts you can make in your language and your behavior that subtly but surely alter the dynamics of any conversation and let you take control. Okay, this is so interesting. Just this one tiny little word change has a massive psychological effect. Using a noun instead of a verb taps into our deep-seated need to belong to a tribe. See, by labeling someone as part of a group, a wine drinker, a runner, a reader, you're reinforcing their identity. And once they start identifying with that group, they become way easier to influence. This next one is a wild little brain hack. Studies have shown that when our brain hears the word because, a little switch flips and we often just accept what comes next. The reason itself almost doesn't matter. You could literally say, "Excuse me, can I cut in front of you because I need to make some copies?" And people will let you. The logic is secondary. It's the structure of the request that works. And this quote from Saul Bellow, it just perfectly captures something called the advice advantage. Think about it. When you ask for someone's opinion, they become a critic. They're separate from you, judging. But when you ask for their advice, you pull them onto your team. You make them a partner, an accomplice, who's now invested in your success. You might have heard of this one. It's often called the Benjamin Franklin effect. And it feels backwards, right? But when someone does a small favor for you, their brain needs to justify why they did it. So they tell themselves, well, I must like this person. That small yes literally paves the way for a much bigger yes down the road. All right, so let's peel back another layer here. Because look, these individual tactics, they're just the tools. The real game isn't about winning one little conversation. It's about using those tools to control the entire narrative, to shape the reality of everyone around you. This is huge. The way you ask a question can basically decide the answer before the person even speaks. A neutral question, "What do you think about John?" that invites an open thought. But a leading question plants an idea. By asking, "Did you notice how John is always late?" you're not really asking if he is. You're directing their brain to search for evidence of his lateness. You've framed the entire conversation. Think about someone like Queen Elizabeth I. She was an absolute master of this. She rarely revealed her true intentions. Her public appearances were calculated. They were events. And because of that, every word she spoke carried immense weight. See, power gets amplified by scarcity. The more available you are, the more common you become. But a little strategic absence, well, that creates a vacuum that other people will fill with respect and anticipation. So what's the big takeaway here? It's that perception, well, it's often more powerful than reality itself. A strong reputation is both your shield and your sword. It walks into the room before you do, and it starts influencing things before you even open your mouth. Protecting it isn't about being vain. It's an absolute strategic necessity. And this brings us to the absolute core of it all, the principle that makes everything else work. Because true, sustainable power, it's not really about controlling other people. It's about achieving absolute, unshakable mastery over yourself. And this is where you see a fundamental split in how people operate. Look at the civilian mindset. It reacts to emotion. It asks, do I feel like it? Am I motivated today? It's always seeking permission. Now look at the operator. The operator calculates the next move. It doesn't care about feelings. It runs on protocol. When things go wrong, the civilian is afraid of being judged. The operator, they just see it as data to make a better decision next time. Okay, this one might sound harsh, but it's a real Machiavellian truth. In this game, being nice, and by nice, I mean compliant, predictable, always seeking approval. It's a strategic weakness. It makes you manageable. And people who are manageable don't get respected. They get used. And this quote just drills home that shift in focus. The civilian mind is obsessed with being liked, with being understood and validated by other people. The operator mindset? It's totally indifferent to what other people think. The only thing that matters is the mission, execution, impact. You stop explaining yourself and you just start doing. So what's the first step to building that internal fortress? It's this idea. You have to kill the inner servant. We all have it. It's that conditioned little voice inside that's been programmed to be small, to be polite, to apologize for taking up space. Killing it is a deliberate campaign to replace that hesitant voice with cold, decisive protocol. And don't think this is just some abstract idea. It plays out in the real world all the time. Just look at the race to invent the airplane. You had the Wright brothers, driven by this unshakable mission. And then you had Samuel Langley. He had a massive government grant, the best minds on his team. He had every resource you could imagine. But Langley was chasing the resources. The Wrights were chasing a purpose. And we all know how that story ended. So why does this mindset stuff really matter? Well, this number, 90%, that's roughly the percentage of startups that fail. And guess what? They don't fail because they ran out of money or had a bad idea. They fail because they lack that unbreakable, mission-driven mindset that can push through the chaos and the pressure that is guaranteed to come. Purpose drives resources, not the other way around. Okay, so let's put it all together. What's the final takeaway here? The structure of power, it reveals itself in layers, kind of like an onion, from the outside in. Let's connect those dots. It all starts on the surface. You start to notice the little conversational hacks, the psychological triggers, the external tools people are using on you and you on them every single day, whether you realize it or not. But then you start to see that those little tricks aren't the point. They're just instruments for a much bigger goal, shaping the narrative, controlling your reputation, and basically managing how the world perceives you. And that's when you get to the real secret, the final layer. You realize that true lasting power isn't an external game at all. It is an internal state. It's about absolute self-control, emotional indifference, and an unwavering focus on your mission. When you finally master your own mind, the crazy thing is, the outside world just kind of starts to adjust to you. So that's the real question, isn't it? Knowing all this isn't enough. The world is a stage, and you've just been shown the script. You can choose to ignore it, to keep being a pawn moved by others, or you can understand the rules and decide deliberately and strategically exactly what part you are going to play. The choice, as always, is yours.